Bowl season is here. Are you ready to cash in on what you know? Where you play is as important as what you play. The pros play at mybookie.ag. All the lines, odds, and plays, both college and pro, all at mybookie.ag. Play where you get paid super fast and there's never a hassle. Step up and mybookie.ag will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use promo code JJ50 to activate the offer. Don't leave the money on the table. mybookie.ag, promo code JJ50, and your first deposit is matched up to 50%. Play where the pros play because they get paid. mybookie.ag.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me a boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, doe?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
And we are Jalen Jacoby on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. What do we do?
We give the people what they want.
We give the people what they want, and the Lions give Jalen what he wants. The now undefeated 2-0 Detroit Lions beat the Giants on Monday Night Football. Is there a sound that encapsulates how you feel? Well, after the loss to the Lions, Ben McAdoo had some sound about the play of his quarterback. Let's listen.
Sloppy quarterback play. Quarterback and a center need to be on the same page there. We got to get the ball snapped.
Why did you call a timeout when that happened?
Because we have a veteran quarterback who's played a lot of football. I expect us to get the ball snapped.
Whoa! McAdoo with the hair slicked back, chest out, just straight up throwing Eli Manning and the sloppy quarterback play under the bus. Why do you think he did that?
Because it was true. I think the media, players, and fans have got so sensitive to the point where you can't honestly answer a question and assess exactly what happened without people using terms like throw them under the bus or hating on. And then all of a sudden everybody wants to whip out Eli's resume and talk about the 2 Super Bowls he won a decade ago. It's okay for a coach when he's asked the question, what happened on the 4th and 1 play in the red zone? I expect us to get the ball snapped. True. Mm-hmm. We have a veteran quarterback. True. When you don't get it done, that is sloppy. And he was being honest, and it's not a diss to Eli, who I'm sure would agree based on the fact that he is a champion and comes from a football family.
Like, we were all watching that play, 4th and 1, a huge play in the game. They're going for it. You get so excited as a fan. You're watching, like, oh, what are they going to do? Pass, run, how's it going to work? And next thing you know, it's a delay game. So then, you know what happens? They trot out the field goal kicker. And this game didn't come down to that play. I thought that the Lions looked like the better team on both sides of the ball. I know you love the Lions, so I give you a little bit of time. How did you feel about your Lions?
That's the old Lions roar I'm doing. You remember the back in the day logo that we had with the fur around the head?
Okay.
And it was the big face of the lion? Not the lion logo right now. But anyway, here's the thing about the Detroit Lions. Did you know the only team so far in the NFL to have an offensive, a defensive, and a special teams touchdown? Mm-hmm. One of 3 teams in the NFC, along with Carolina and Atlanta, to be undefeated. We took care of our quarterback in the offseason, Matthew Stafford, but I can't front. This game was more about the ineptitude of the Giants.
It really was.
Than my undefeated Lions so far this year.
When they lost to the Cowboys, everyone's like, oh, Odell Beckham Jr., he wasn't there. They're missing Odell Beckham Jr. It's like, well, they got Odell Beckham Jr., and he didn't look that bad. They all looked bad. Congratulations to your Lions. Let's go to something that's much more important. Kevin Durant's fake Twitter account time. Kevin Durant was at the tech conference. You know he booked this a long time ago, and he did not know it was going to be the day after his fake Twitter accounts were discovered. He had to explain himself, and here's what he had to say.
I don't regret clapping back at anybody or talking to my fans on Twitter. I do regret using my former coach's name in the former organization that I played for. That was childish. That was idiotic. All those type of words. I regret doing that, and I apologize to him for doing that.
He said it was childish. He said it was idiotic to call out his ex-coach and his former teammates. Something tells me he was only idiotic and childish because he got caught. Don't you think? Like it's not idiotic and childish when you got your phone out and your Twitter fingers out, but once you get caught, all of a sudden he regrets it. What do you think about that?
It's a soft move. And we talked about it when the news first hit, because the bottom line is rabbit ears can be something that work for you, encourage you to work on your game. You become a 50, 40, 90 player. You leave OKC, an MVP, to join the Warriors, become not only a champion, but the finals MVP. Yet over the summer, we keep talking back about him going back into his YouTube page, responding to fans' comments, going back into his Twitter account, DMing certain fans. Same thing on IG. You would hope that today's athlete, public figure in particular, wouldn't be so sensitive to what people have to say about them on social media. Hey, millennials, I got a secret for you. Take time out of the day to actually put your phone down. The most meaningful things in your life are happening in front of you, not on your social media account, not on your cell phone. If you're so caught up in what people say, just think about the mental manipulation that happens here. If he has multiple accounts, what do you think the average troll does? Have multiple accounts. So therefore, that might not even truly be their opinion. They're just sending you negative stuff to get under your skin.
I'm gonna
recognize game.
I'm gonna set up a fake account to come at me and then respond with another fake account and then somehow have that be discovered. That's the next level thing that I'm on. I'm still figuring out how it all works, but I'm gonna get there eventually. You know who got to the grocery store? JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee went grocery shopping, and check out the outfit that he wore. He is in a robe, sunglasses, a Gucci fanny pack. Soft move or boss move, going grocery shopping in a robe?
Soft move.
Oh, I like it. I support it. I support robes outdoors. What it tells me is I don't care. That's what I like about it.
That's, to me, the exact reason why I said what I said. I understand the whole robe infatuation that you have, but usually that's for when somebody's getting out of the tub or shower,
spa,
or getting in or out of the pool, or getting in and out of beach water where there's sand and you're trying to get a tan and things like that. I just think that's not proper attire for a supermarket. So I think, however, he did it on purpose. This is why he posted it. It's one thing if somebody else took the picture and posted it, but he basically posted the picture, which means he wanted out there, so he did it on purpose. So therefore, he got a reaction. We're talking about it on the program.
I love it. So one thing I can't do is I can't wear sunglasses inside. Like my body will not let me do it. And the fact that he's got sunglasses inside, it's like, oh, I'm trying to be, just trying to be incognito. Just no one will notice me, this 7-foot dude with a Gucci fanny pack and open robe because I've got these little tiny sunglasses on.
Hit the brakes. I got to show you something for the culture. When you're famous, you just won a championship for the Golden State Warriors and you're 7 foot tall, and you're walking around with a robe on and sunglasses, it's called incognito.
Thank you for explaining that, Mr. Rose. I appreciate that. I look forward to that and other lessons in the future on this program. Jalen Rose, let me tell you the tale of the mad pooper. There's a jogger in Colorado Springs, a female jogger that jogs around. And one thing that she does while she jogs is she is a habitual pooper. For the last 7 weeks, at least once a week, she's pooping in parks, she's pooping in back alleys, she's pooping all over the place, to the point where a family has called the authorities. The police are now involved. They're putting up signs saying, please don't poop here, and she continues to poop there. She's been caught on wax pooping. They're looking after her. So my question for you, this is where my mind went with this. Jalen Rose, you had a home, you've got friends and family there, and you've got a pooper that comes and poops in the neighboring park of your home within view of your family at least once a week. How do you solve this problem?
BB gun.
Oh, you're going firearms. Did not expect you to go there, Mr. Rose. Did not expect you to go there.
First and foremost, that's nasty and trifling. Also, it makes me want to ask a couple of follow-up questions, which I know you hate.
You know I don't like follow-up questions, especially about poop. Let's move on.
I would love to know her family dynamic. Like, does she have a boyfriend or a husband?
Jalen, let's move on. I hope the Mad Pooper gets the help that she needs. Drake got a new tattoo. Okay, this dude already has tattoos of Aaliyah, Sade, and Lil Wayne on his body. And now he didn't just get a tattoo of Denzel Washington. He got a tattoo of Denzel Washington's character from Mo Better Blues. Of all the Denzel Washington characters, I'm not sure why the one from Mo Better Blues is what he went and chose. And my question for you is, if you had to get a tattoo of a Denzel Washington character, which one would you go with?
Training Day.
You're going to Alonzo from Training Day? That's what you're going with?
No doubt about it.
Okay. I thought of some others. You know, I might go with Jake Shuttlesworth. It would probably be what I would go with. I'm going to go Shuttlesworth. You know, if you're Jesus' dad and you're not God, I'm going with that.
That is very nice. I like
with.
What you did there,
That's
sir.
what I'm going with for him. I know how you feel about people getting faces tattooed on themselves. How do you feel about Drake getting Denzel's character from a movie tattooed on himself?
This is becoming one of those things almost like the Kardashian curse. Kevin Durant creating fake accounts.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me wonder, are we getting old?
Yes.
Because multiple guys are doing this.
Another thing I want to say is, like, I watched Mo Better Blues. Not one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. Not that impactful. I watched it once. I thought it was slow. I think I fell asleep a couple times, like I know you would. I think I'm not a big Mo Better Blues guy.
Was
not impacted.
I
was not impacted. No, I'm not hitting the brakes. Reggie, don't hit the brakes. Don't hit the brakes.
There are two actors we will not tolerate any slander for on this program.
Oh, come on.
Straight up. In no particular order.
Jalen.
Denzel and Uncle Sam.
Jalen.
And Anne Hathaway. 3.
Jalen, don't do it to yourself, okay? You're going to come after me and start criticizing the things that I say. I'm going to put it back on you. Please explain the plot to Mo Better Blues. Go ahead. Explain the plot to Mo Better Blues.
First off, he was a great jazz musician.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing in multiple clubs. That was his passion. He was a leader.
Okay.
He lost everything. And that's really what it was all about.
Great job. That's exactly what it was. I think that was actually the pitch when Spike Lee pitched it to the studio. He was like,
a Spike Lee joint.
Like, Mo Better Blues is going to be about a jazz musician. That's exactly what the pitch was. Reggie's making us talk about this. Andrew Bogut signed a 1-year deal with the Lakers. What I found interesting is the Celtics and the Cavs and the Wolves were all interested in his services, but he signed a minimum deal with the Lakers. Why do you think he went with the Lakers?
They like, you should come a year early. LeBron coming. You see we got KCP. You're going to get a chance to play with him with the Cavs. You might get a chance to run with him out here.
And who knows who else is coming next year. It's like here you go. You get in here now, and next year we got Russ coming. We got LeBron coming. We got Paul George coming. We got Boogie Cousins coming. We got everybody's coming next year. Just get here one spot early so you can pick out your locker before everybody else comes next year. Shout out to Magic Johnson. I can't wait for the Lakers next year. I'm excited about Magic Johnson. Keep tampering. Magic. Tamper.
That was some tip money. He's like, how much? $500,000?
Jalen Rose, one thing we always celebrate on this program is power couples. Nas and Nicki Minaj continue to drop us hints that they are a power couple. Nas calls Nicki Shorty on Instagram. Do you think that this is officially a power couple now?
No. I do. And I like it. And another power couple that I saw them out recently that I should give more love to, Alicia Keys and Swiss Beats.
Oh, yeah. I think they're power couple parents, too. Good for them.
No doubt about it.
Good for them.
So I'm happy for Nicki. I'm happy for the homie Nas. He going to get you, Lonzo Ball.
You know what? You always keep it positive because you run into these people. I'm never going to run into Swizz Beatz, so I can say this. Swizz, you're not a rapper. You're not. Okay? You're not a rapper. The choruses you drop are whack. All the verses that you drop are whack. Like, you know what? Just be a producer, Swizz. You know what I mean? Just be a producer. Just be a producer.
He never said he was a rapper. You just wanted to take a shot at him.
He's trying. He's got choruses on Jay-Z's albums and stuff and Kanye's.
You're not paying attention to the landscape of music because all DJs and/or producers have now found ways to get their vocals on wax because that's how you get the royalties, David.
That's how you get paid. That's what it is. It's that how you get paid. They're like, oh, okay, so I'll get paid for producing. That's this much royalties. And if I'm also one of the writers and one of the performers, I'll get more royalties.
And definitely do the hook.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder how DJ Khaled gets paid sometimes. I'm like, he came out with an album that he didn't say anything on. I don't even think he produced the beats. I love DJ Khaled.
Shout out.
We always support power couples in this show, as we were just saying. And this one is interesting. Tristan Thompson and Khloe Kardashian. When this happened, we were strongly against it. But this seems legitimate. The more I see them on social media, the more I see them hanging out, I'm starting to love this power couple, Jalen. And we always thought that LeBron and the rest of the Cavs would reject the presence of the Kardashians. Well, guess what? Via TMZ Sports, we've got video of LeBron and Tristan and Russell Westbrook and Khloe Kardashian all hanging out at Hollywood Horror Night at Universal Studios. 2 questions. Number 1, have you accepted and anointed Tristan and Khloe as a power couple?
I have. And it's one of those things like we talked about at a different point of the program where
Reg is so
you're
upset
allowed
with you right
to
now.
grow and evolve your opinion.
That was earlier.
I still understand that the Kardashian curse exists because I'm one of the people that continue to talk about it and see it play itself out, which is separate from celebrating a power couple. With that being said, Kanye and Kim, they're still going strong.
You're a power couple.
It's probably, he's not the first guy I'll say that we've seen her with.
No. Have you read
Tristan
Jay?
isn't the first guy we've seen Khloe with.
No.
Everybody has a past.
Sure.
Like J. Cole said it, every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. And so the most important thing is being happy. And they seem happy, so I'm going to fall back and let them cook. But until something for the curse rears its ugly head, like LeBron leaves, or something like that, we're going to fall back and let them eat.
So here's the real important question about this story. Is it too early for horror Hollywood night? Like, isn't it a little early in the year to be like running on the Halloween bandwagon?
Absolutely. That should start in October.
October 1st. Like, my son is like, we need some Halloween decorations. I'm like, no, that's not how it works, Quincy.
But
that's not
I
how it
gotta
works,
tell you
Quincy.
this.
We got to wait a couple weeks, dude.
There's a reason why it's open right now, so that people can actually go and enjoy it.
Sure.
And number 2, that's when his season starts. So he won't be in L.A.
Well, right now he is going to be in University of California, Santa Barbara with the rest of the Cavs because LeBron James holds his own pre-training camp mini camp. What do you think about LeBron holding his own pre-training camp mini camp?
I like it. It's good for solidarity. It's good for team unity. Shows leadership. I hope he's footing the bill for everybody.
Good point.
Not only their room and board, but their flights and the food and making sure they're good.
Do you feel like there's a couple Cavs, like Amon Shumpert and Kevin Love, when they're just like joking at dinner when LeBron went to the bathroom? They're like, why do we got to do this every year? We're going to work in a week. Like, this is my last week off. Like, why I got to come here and get on the Versa Climber?
No, it's a couple of the guys like, oh, Kyrie still following me on IG, but he don't follow Bron.
You know that? How often, like, of the percentage of casual conversations they have, how many of them do you think about Kyrie?
75%.
Yeah, 35. It's got to be like a legit, like that's a lot to talk about. And all the things that they felt about Kyrie that they didn't want to voice because he was such an important part of the organization, they're all getting voiced now.
The only thing they're gonna talk about that entire week is Kyrie's appearance on First Take.
Exactly. That's what they're going to talk about. And he didn't even say much on First Take, to be honest with you. I love it. Good for Kyrie. Good for Kyrie. You know they're over there like, Uncle Drew is corny. I had that idea before he even did it. Michael Beasley said the Knicks can make the playoffs and he can score 25 points a game. Is that a failed test? That's a failed test, right?
Well, here's the thing. He already has a failed test.
He's got
so I don't even know if we should use that for him. We might get him in trouble.
He's in the program.
He's in the program already.
His next violation is like life banning. He's on that OJ Mayo.
Right. So for people that aren't already in the program, it's more than just a failed test.
That's a good point.
Habitual medicinal.
He's a habitual
Line step.
Mason Plumlee agreed to a 3-year, $31 million deal to stay with the Nuggets.
Good Lord, that's a lot of money.
So that's $10.33 million a year. The Blazers dealt him because they didn't want to pay him that. That seems like a deal to me. I love Mason Plumlee.
I do. I like his activity. He has good bounce.
You got
runs the floor well.
Millsap, Jokic.
I like what the Nuggets have done in the
Plumlee.
offseason.
I like it too. Millsap, Jokic, and Plumlee, like that's a good front court. That's a good
indeed.
front court. Next, Jalen, I know you want to talk about it, but you haven't really talked about it much. Last week it was all about your fantasy team and how you needed Phillip Rivers to get you on Monday night. And here we are on Tuesday. Me and you have talked a bunch, but you didn't bring up your fantasy team. That guarantees me that you lost.
The JRLA Jaguars,
Took an L.
coached by Molly Karam and Jalen Rose. I'm pulling up their record right now.
Let me guess. 1-1.
Because
Let me guess. Because I know about you. You're a front runner, too. You always come after front runners. You don't talk about it when you lose. I'm guessing. I can't
we're
read that.
2-0
Really?
for the radio listeners.
Congratulations, Mr. Rose.
And by the way, won both weeks with a pedestrian Odell Beckham in game 2, and he didn't play in game 1.
Well,
Depth.
Congratulations to the JRLA with Jaguars.
Shout out.
I wish you continued success. And I'm sure that our listeners are very curious about your fantasy team because they don't care about their own fantasy teams. They care about your fantasy team.
Hey, I'm telling you, fantasy versus reality. David Johnson walked down the street, 90% of the population wouldn't know who he is.
Nope.
But I guarantee you, all of the people that took him first or second in the draft know.
They're mad at him, too. They're mad at him right now. After we've been talking about that, I definitely looked at David Johnson and memorized his face. I was like, all right, he got a goatee. Okay. He's got I saw him in a hospital bed after his surgery. I was like, I really wouldn't recognize him if he walked in right now. But since we've been talking about it, I'm like, all right, I need to make sure that I know who David Johnson is. So, Brandon Marshall, if he was on your fantasy team, you're not too happy with him right now. A lot of people are unhappy with him right now. They're tweeting at him. They're tweeting mean things to Brandon Marshall about his performance since he's been on the Giants. The problem is there's 2 Brandon Marshalls in the league. There's one on the Broncos. And Brandon Marshall on the Broncos is not having it anymore. He's so tired of the trolls that think that he is Brandon Marshall that he started firing back at them. What would you do if you're the Broncos' Brandon Marshall?
I'll let it cook. It's not a big deal. If I'm the Brandon Marshall of the Giants, people rock their hair the way they choose. People rock their hair the way they choose. I'm just trying to figure out if he have 2 separate looks going on at once.
Odell Beckham looks like he's got dreads going in the front, too. Like, what's going on? They need a barber there. They need a barber to come in.
Because it's like bald on the side, but then he have dreads on the top.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening. And I think Odell Beckham legit has 3 blonde twists in the front. Like, Odell, it's time for the blonde to go.
Yeah.
You know, unless you get 2 touchdowns next game, you got to make a change. Same thing with James Harden. James Harden, if you don't win MVP next year, time to shave the beard. We have a special announcement. Friend of the show, Doug Collins has been named senior advisor by the Bulls. Interesting. What do you think the Bulls want Doug Collins to do?
Exactly what Jerry West is going to be doing with the Clippers.
What's that?
Provide a level of oversight to John Paxson and Gar Forman because they've gone from being a team that had notable players like Derrick Rose, who won an MVP, had some injuries, still productive, hometown kid for whatever it's worth. Jimmy Butler, who's an all-star level player, one of the top coaches in the game in Tom Thibodeau. And all of a sudden, all of them are playing elsewhere, and their team is scrambling to find an identity. I do, however, like the young talent that they've assembled.
I know you
a
love
lot
Levine.
of people aren't talking too much about Levine. That's one of my guys that is under the radar, and once he blows up like Boogie and a couple of my other guys, then people, the fans and the media kind of take him away from us. But
I like Markkanen.
Dunn as well out of Providence. Markkanen is going to be a nice stretch, 4 or 5 in the league. So while I don't think they're obviously a championship level team,
No.
I think having the basketball savant, as I like to call him, Doug Collins in tow, and my mentor in this media game. I text him to say congratulations. Friend of our program. He's been on our show. I'm really happy for him, and I think it's a real good look.
I'm happy for him, too. And one thing I think about this Bulls team, which has been completely dismantled, they traded away Jimmy Butler, is they were up 2-0 on the Boston Celtics. And those two games were in Boston. So they were up 2-0 against the home team, Boston Celtics, in the first round of the playoffs as the 8th seed. Rajon Rondo got hurt. And it did feel like they could have won that series. Would they have gone on to beat the Warriors in the NBA Finals? No. They probably wouldn't have even gone on to the third round. But it is interesting how one little twist of fate or twist of ankle can change the trajectory of a franchise, because they might have been looking at themselves after that series or that playoff run and said, oh, maybe we just need to tweak something here or there. We can get there.
And there's a reason I didn't mention Dwayne Wade, because he's about to be on the Cavs.
Yeah, he's not there. Do you think Doug Collins even bothered texting Dwayne Wade? He didn't even bother. He didn't introduce himself. He's not even going to take him to dinner or lunch or a cup of coffee or anything. No. Jalen Rose, not everything is worth discussing. I'm going to name some headlines in the world of sports and pop culture. If it is worth discussing, we'll hit the brakes. If it's not, we will keep it moving.
We be moving, you know, we keep it moving.
You ready?
Let's get it.
Triple G and Canelo's camps are ready to discuss a rematch. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving. No surprises there. We're going to get a trilogy out of that one.
Jerry Jones had some things to say about the extension of Roger Goodell's contract. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
So he went on the radio, and there's some reports that Jerry Jones was very vocal in blocking the potential contract extension of Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, beleaguered commissioner of the NFL. And here's one thing he said, quote, I'm well known as having been a supporter of Roger Goodell. On the other hand, when you get into negotiating, extending, and find yourself in negotiation, I think that's what you're getting a sense of. There's just negotiating going on. You don't think that his desire to, I don't know, relax the marijuana rules in the NFL and, I don't know, extend or not extend Roger Goodell's contract has anything to do with the fact that Ezekiel Elliott is now going through a long court case with the league? And when he's talking about negotiating, doesn't he feel like, hey, Roger, I'll stop getting in the way of your bread if you stop getting in the way of my bread? That's the negotiation that's really going on.
You mean Jerry Jones is going to actually do what's best for his team to win? Not necessarily have a moral compass? No, he wouldn't sign Greg Hardy.
That would never happen.
He wouldn't do such a thing.
That would never happen. Next thing we got, Cowboys coach Jason Garrett says running back Ezekiel Elliott's effort versus the Broncos was not up to standard. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving. We just talked about the Cowboys. They got thumped by the Broncos. That game was more about them.
A Minnesota TV reporter is reporting that Andrew Wiggins is expected to sign a 5-year, $148 million extension by the end of the week. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
That's pretty much the max for Wiggins. 5 years, $148 million, brings him to about $29.5 million a year. If you are Coach Thibodeau, who's making decisions, and you're the owner, do you think signing this young man to a 5-year max contract is the best interest of the team?
I do, because if you think going forward that he's not a part of your core group of players who you want to build around, he has a tradable contract because he'll still be under his current deal once he signs for 5 years. But also, if you look at the landscape of the league, the two teams that were in the finals last year, one, the Cleveland Cavaliers, had 3 All-Stars. The champion, Golden State Warriors, have 4. So when you look at the roster of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Jimmy Butler falls along that category. Karl Anthony Towns will be in that category. And you hope that Wiggins now matures to the point where he plays at that level. If that is able to take place, I'm anticipating something special this year for the Minnesota Timberwolves, something that we haven't seen really since they had KG, Sam Cassell, and Spree, like a team that legitimately is going to be in the playoffs, and depending on who they face in the first round, might have a chance to advance.
It's also not inconceivable. I'm not predicting this. It's not inconceivable that they could be like a 4 seed and host a playoff series in Minnesota after completely missing the playoffs for years before that. I got some bad news about the Michigan football team. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good?
No, actual bad. Bad
hit the
meaning
brakes. Gotta hear this.
I know that you're excited about your Lions being 2-0 and your Wolverines being 2-0. You were on the field when they played Air Force, but there's some interesting information.
And speaking of the Lions, I just got to say this. Some salty Giants fans where I live, I tell you, boy, in particular one Molly Karen, boy, she was in a bad mood this morning. I'm like, seriously? It's like that?
Shout out.
I understand. The Michigan Wolverines have made 10 trips into the red zone this season, and they've come away with 1 touchdown. On Saturday against Air Force, they ran 10 plays in the red zone and advanced the ball a grand total, wait for it, of -1 yard. The result of those 4 drives into the red zone were 4 field goals. Jalen, I know it all feels good for the Maize and Blue, but is it all good for the Maize and Blue?
Win and keep winning is the game in collegiate football. They're still ranked 8th, ahead of Ohio State, because Ohio State, when they struggled, guess what ended up happening? They lost to Oklahoma. So there will be turbulent times throughout the season. The ineptness that you're talking about is something that can be fixed. Who's Michigan's coach again?
A gentleman by the name of James Harbaugh.
And what do you affectionately call him?
The Kanye West of college football.
He'll get it together.
You think he'll get it together?
Absolutely.
Does Michigan make the playoffs based on what you've seen thus far?
Yes.
No. They do not.
Yes.
No.
We're in the same class as those couple of squads in front of us, like USC. We're in their class.
You're in USC's class, but you're not in Bama's class.
They 1 and 2 with Clemson. Everybody else is we coming.
All right. Would you pick the Wolverines over Ohio State if they played on this Saturday?
No, based on what you just said.
Okay. So
See,
there
the
you
one
go.
thing
So
about
that's 3
me
teams.
and
That's
people
3
that
teams
follow
better
this
than the Michigan right there. There's only 4 teams in the playoffs. I'm just saying.
But the one thing people have to know about me, like I root and rep my squads, but I'm not out here throwing out some unrealistic stuff.
No, you don't. That's one thing I like about doing this show with you. You can be unbiased. So another question. If the Wolverines were playing Oklahoma this Saturday, would you pick the Wolverines over Oklahoma?
No.
Okay, so that's Clemson, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Ohio State. That sounds like your playoff teams right now. So you guys are outside looking in just like you were last year. That's too bad.
One of those teams got a loss, and we play that team the final game of the year, and I'll be at the game.
Oh, really? You're going to the game?
No doubt.
Really?
And now that I think about it, I should try to go to the Lions game on Thanksgiving that weekend, too.
Oh, it's the same weekend? So there's a Lions game on Thursday, and then Saturday they host the Buckeyes?
I'm trying to tell you, people that aren't from the mitten, that week is special for us. That's Super Bowl week. We have our Thanksgiving Day parade and watch the Lions, and then Michigan, Ohio State is that Saturday.
I'm going to write Roger Goodell I'm going to write him a strongly worded letter. I'm not even an email. I'm going to write him a letter just saying that the Lions should be ousted from their spot as a Thanksgiving contender. I do not know why they play that game.
I know who name you need to put on the letter in order for it to get a response.
What's that?
Anne
Hathaway. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, she got. Roger Goodell wrote her back. Something tells me he's not going to write me back. He's going to be like, Jacoby, who's going to Google it and be like, what, the Iowa State representative? What? Randy Moss. Santana Moss and RG3 have beef. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Santana Moss was telling a story about how RG3 was happy that Mike Shanahan got fired, and now RG3 is calling him a liar on Twitter. We shouldn't even hit the brakes on this. Let's keep it moving.
We be moving, you know, we keep it moving.
Now, Jalen Rose, some of our colleagues, Brian Windhorst was involved, had an interesting report about the finances of NBA teams. Zach Lowe was involved as well.
Get low.
They found some sort of secret document, and by found I mean someone leaked them a secret document that showed the NBA teams that reported losses for the 2016 and 17 season. So when you see something like the Rockets being sold for $2.2 billion, the Clippers being sold for $2 billion, you say to yourself, well, these teams are all worth over $1 billion. Like, these owners just must be just swimming in bathtubs of cash every single night. But it's interesting. Almost half of the teams have reported losses in net income last season. The Bucks, the Grizzlies, the Hawks, the Hornets, the Kings, the Magic, the Nets, the Pacers, the Pelicans, the Pistons, the Suns, the Wolves, the Blazers, the Wizards. And after revenue share, the Cavaliers joined that group. You look at a team like the Cavs, you would not think that the Cavs, who went to the NBA Finals, had a loss last year. What this all is leaning towards is the owners meeting, and everybody gets together, and some owners, like Steve Ballmer's of the world and the buses of the world, they're going to say, hey, everything's fine, we're all making money. And then the small market teams, like all those teams that I named, are going to say, we are not making up enough money. We are losing money every single year operating these teams. We need to change the revenue sharing structure. Jalen Rose, do you think that this will happen? Do you think that the split of the pie of basketball money will change based on these numbers?
I don't think it should.
Ooh, why?
And I don't think it will. Because you just talked about a dynamic of teams losing money based on their basketball revenue. However, just like in the NCAA, the way schools can basically doctor the books for the athletic department and acknowledge a loss, yet the NCAA is a 501c3. How about that? That's another subject for another day.
Which means a nonprofit organization, basically.
How about that? A multi-billion-dollar organization at that. So, for teams, they can do the exact same thing. It's about how and what you're reporting and what you're putting on the books for the team. These individuals were billionaires when they bought the team. Let me repeat that. These individuals were billionaires when they bought said team. So there are certain things you can put on the book for your teams, certain employees, certain expenses, that you can now charge that as a loss and then turn around and try to write it off, one. And then two, try to get more money from revenue sharing.
One thing
which
I
is
love
why
to
I
think
say
about,
it's not going to happen.
One thing I love to think about with businesses is there's two different businesses that people present themselves to be. There's the business that you present yourself to be to the IRS, right? If you're a small business, you try to make it seem like you are as less profitable as possible. And then there's the business that you present yourself to be to a prospective buyer. And those are not the same, because we all know it's about how you spin it. You can spin the books to make it look like you are making so much money that someone needs to pay you so much money to own the business. And then you can also make it look like you are making so little money that you don't owe the government any money in taxes. And I feel like, while we're not accusing of any of these teams necessarily lying or doing something illegal, but they're certainly doctoring the books to make it seem like they are making as little money as possible. So maybe this isn't some sort of huge problem that they need to change the way that they share revenue in the NBA. Maybe it is. Maybe a small problem that needs to be addressed and then denied.
Key word is they're not doing anything illegal. It's financial, not personal.
But there still is like the local television deal. Like you've got I spoke with Wendy about this earlier because I was like, man, tell me about this thing because I'm not reading. Because you guys know I don't read, I'm not reading the whole thing. But he said basically if you are the Grizzlies, you have a $10 million local, he's just using numbers, like a $10 million local TV contract. And if you're the Lakers, you have a $150 million local TV contract. We talked about the Warriors too. The Warriors are getting $20 million for the patch on their jersey while other teams are just getting six figures for the patch on their jersey. Does that not make it unfair for large market teams still, even after all these policies are in place to try to even the playing field?
A lot of that, as you mentioned, has to do with television rights and revenue. Whereas if you look at a market like New York City, the Yankees have YES, the Knicks have MSG. If you go to a market like a Milwaukee, they probably have their local affiliate, so they're not able to garner that level of revenue streaming. The same that you just mentioned for the Los Angeles Lakers take place on the West Coast.
With the Time Warner.
But these are the things you understand that are in place before you even purchase the squad. You are you understand that dynamic exists, and you hope because of the success of the team, i.e. Cleveland Cavaliers, you can then find a way to change that.
And another thing I want to point out is there's operating losses over the course of one fiscal year, and then there's the valuation of the franchise. You know, because it's like, the Cavs lost $4 million last year. That business must be in the tank. How much is that business worth? I don't know, $2.5 billion. You know, it's just like, it's like Twitter. Like, Twitter probably doesn't make money every year, but they're probably valued at $10 billion or whatever. It's like, let's not cry too deep of a river for these owners that are, quote, losing money every year, because the valuation of what they own explodes year over year.
And also, here's something that made me touch on the NCAA that I want to also compare with basketball and football. They also have something that's really unique that helps control their spending. It's called a salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there wasn't a cap, I could understand the revenue stream changing and the sharing being a different dynamic. But because a cap is in place, you can look at your roster and say, we're paying all 15 of these guys this number. Unlike baseball and other major sports where there is no salary cap.
And the same thing could be said for the Cavaliers. Like, I'm not going to say, the Cavaliers after revenue sharing lost money. Well, here's the thing. They had to lose money after revenue sharing because they made so much, A, and B, they pay so much in tax because they're so far over the soft cap. Dwight Howard is just an interesting figure in the NBA if you chart his career, from the Magic to the Lakers to the Rockets to the Hawks and now the Hornets. He opened up a little bit, and I want to read this quote to you, Jalen Rose. Are you ready?
Let's get it.
Dwight Howard, quote, "I lost confidence in who I am as a player. I'd hear people say, you should play more like Shaq, so I tried to bully guys, but that didn't work because I'm not as big as Shaq. And I'd hear people say, you smile too much, you need to be more like Kobe. So then I tried to put on a mean face and play mad, but I wound up getting all these stupid texts and flagrant fouls." What do you think Dwight Howard is trying to get across by saying this?
He's talking about an identity crisis. And this has nothing to do with sports. This is something that happens between your ears as an individual. In this case, as somebody that just happens to be a professional athlete. The hardest thing for all of us to do is to do the best we can to do our best to be the best versions of ourselves each day.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest thing for everyone to do. And to also look yourself in the mirror and understand you have certain weaknesses. I did it all of the time growing up. Like, man, my skin is terrible. There's nothing I can do about it. Mom wouldn't take me to dermatologist. Man, these teeth are rock teeth. When they joking on me, man, dang. Nothing I can do about it. Hey, too short? He's rich. He got his teeth like yours too, Jalen. Hey, Nas, he's rich. You know, he got a chipped tooth. You got to get over it. Man, I hate wearing patches in my pants and old gym shoes putting corns on my feet. But you know what? A lot of that sometimes can breed character. And it created a sense of hunger inside of me that wanted me to be in a position to where I could work as hard as I can to accomplish my goals in sports or any other endeavor that I hope to get across. It's just playing out for Dwight Howard in basketball. He said it. If you're not as big as Shaq and you don't have the attitude of Kobe, then why are you trying to be him?
Don't try. Like, once you start trying to be something you are not. And one thing I never really loved is the way that people used to get on Dwight Howard for smiling. You know what I mean? It's like, Dwight Howard, he smiles too much when he plays. It's like, well, don't worry about the look on his face. Worry about the way that he plays the game. Another player who smiled a lot, I remember, is Carmelo Anthony. Does the same thing. But no one gets on him because he puts it down when he has to. And by that, I meant 6 years ago when he was a decent player on the Nuggets.
You mean Hoodie Mello?
Then I mean Hoodie Mello. Hoodie Mello does do what he needs to do. Jalen Rose, something interesting happened. Adidas has actually jumped over the jump man.
My Adidas!
It happened. It used to be Nike at number one in U.S. Gross sales, and then it was the Jumpman, also owned by Nike, and then it was Adidas. Well, Adidas has jumped from 6% of the market to 11% of the market, now putting themselves in second place. I think a lot of people misunderstand this. I think a lot of people think, the Yeezys, because Kanye West came out with this, and that's why they jumped over the Jumpman. But really what happened is Adidas did something really smart. They focused on their classic shoes, like the ones you are wearing now, the Superstars, and the Stan Smiths. If you notice, everyone had a pair of Stan Smiths this year. And they came out with this thing called Boost technology. Have you worn the Boost? So comfy. The most comfortable shoe out there. They are like slippers. The NMD model, the Ultra Boost model. And they use sort of a Nike strategy of making them hype beastie, but also mass putting them out there in the world. This was really, really smart from Adidas, and I love what they are doing. However, while they now have 11%, Nike makes up 37 to 38, 39% of the U.S. market. Could we ever get to a place where Adidas actually challenges Nike in the U.S. market?
Probably not. I think at this point, the stranglehold that Nike has as a global brand, in particular, with all ages, races and creeds, nationalities, personalities, and performance, is why they were able to garner such a big lead on the competitors. But I like where you went with Adidas, because I do remember a time growing up in the 80s where Adidas was the number one shoe. And again, it goes back to what? Hip-hop and how it was used to sell products through Run DMC. I remember being in the stands when Run said, if you had no shoestrings in them, throw your hands in the air. And I remember seeing 50, 60, 70,000 people at multiple shows doing that. And before you know it, that now became a shoe that was signature with the top 10s, the forms, the snake skins, as you mentioned, the classics. So for them to go back to those, it was a slam dunk, and it's a good look at this point.
And we all know about the Jordan brand shoes. There's the Jordan line, the actual Michael Jordans, and then there's the Team Jordans. Team Jordans aren't exactly the coolest shoes out there on the streets. They're fine, but not the coolest shoes out there. And it got me thinking, as Jordan loses this grip on the marketplace, do you think as the memories of his playing days get older and older and the audience gets younger and younger, do you think that Jordans will continue to be less popular as people sort of forget about his encore performance?
I don't think it's necessarily about his on-court performance. I think it's about what you just described, having that signature shoe. Nike's had multiple, umpteen
KDs,
signature
the Kyries,
shoes.
the LeBrons, of course.
This is why you go out and sign Russell Westbrook to a 10-year deal and hope a player like that, who's an MVP, can now help catapult what you're trying to get accomplished.
Of course. It'll be interesting to see, because you know what sneakers I love, Jalen? Free ones. Send me a pair. Size 12.
Shout out to Adidas and my guy Jim Gatto, sponsor of the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy.
Someone wants some more free sneakers by shouting people out individually. I'm surprised you didn't put your address out there. Darren Ravel had a very interesting piece about an NBA player's salary, because we always hear these numbers. Oh, LeBron James, $33 million, $29 million, this many million dollars. But when you look at LeBron James' actual finances, you see that his salary is $33.29 million. But when you break it down, 10% goes to escrow. Federal taxes takes a huge percent. State taxes takes a huge percent. The agent almost gets $1 million. There's a 401k contribution, 10% from, and then you get some back from last year. He ends up making $16.7 million of the $33.2 million. I thought that was very interesting, because you see just how much of it gets chipped away, and how much he takes home, which is almost a little bit over half of that. But Jalen, one of the things I want to know from you is, okay, let's say half of it gets taken by all these other things. What happens to that money? How do you divvy up the money that comes in when you're an NBA basketball player?
This is why it always irks me when people want to count somebody else's money. Because you see the headline, as you just mentioned, $33 million. And before you buy anything, he probably has half of that. And so for people who aren't making the kind of money that LeBron James makes, say that you're fortunate enough to be in the $1 million bracket. That puts you in about a 40% tax between federal and state.
Yep.
You're paying your agent 4%. And if you have an agent outside of the sport, you're paying them 10% of all of your endorsements and your appearances and stuff. Insurances, they don't get accounted for. All of us that are walking and breathing as adults, just think about how many insurances you have. Let me give you an example. Life insurance, health and dental insurance, the insurance for where you live, especially if you have multiple places, insurance for your cars, especially if you have multiple cars. Those add up. Other places, family and or friends and or taking care of different households. The person who's not famous usually, and people don't know how much they quote unquote make, they're usually not put in a position where other people are asking them for money or asking them to take care of them. So you take said athlete, said millionaire in this case, and you divide what they made time multiple households. And so this is why it's important to not only pay attention to your brand and be a professional, but you also have to be a financial expert in a lot of ways, because it ain't what you cop, it's what you keep. And the maintenance is what catches up with you.
Exactly.
Light bill, the gas bill, the phone bill, the taxes, the
You know what else
taxes.
you have to do? You have to pay that financial manager as well if you hire one of those. Really quick, Jalen Rose, Derek Fisher made his debut on Dancing with the Stars. When are we going to see you on Dancing with the Stars, Jalen? When are we going to see you? When are we going to see you?
He's in a unique spot because he has a level of championship fame. While Dancing with the Stars happens during the basketball season, this is why you haven't seen players participate, because usually those who have that level of celebrity are either still playing or probably working in the media. And he's at a unique spot where right now he's not doing either.
Ladies. Ladies.
Hey, ladies!
There you go. Now you're listening. Ladies, make sure you leave us a voicemail. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail. Send us some tweets, because every Wednesday, that is tomorrow, every Wednesday, we have Women Crush Wednesday, where we celebrate the ladies in our lives and around the world. But right now, it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, the best phones, the best networks, and no contracts. That is Straight Talk Wireless. We're also brought to you by Upside. You can now save big on travel and get a big gift card with every trip that you buy. You will love Upside.com. Jalen Rose, if we want Straight Talk, we go to our voicemails. And again, ladies, you call 985-80-JALEN. Leave us a message.
Hey, ladies!
We will play it on the show just like this. Let's get it.
Hey, Jalen Jacoby, this is Joe. Listen, man, I've been a long-time listener for like 7 years, 6 years, however long you've been doing this, since Grantland. And I don't need you coming at me like that, Jalen and Jacoby, about your stuffed animal, the hunts that you're going on, people who sleep with stuffed animals, man. It's comfortable, all right? If you don't got somebody else to sleep with, I see no problem cuddling up with a nice big stuffed animal. It's like having an extra pillow, man. It's for comfort. Don't judge. Don't judge me. I still love you guys. Shout out.
I love Joe. I absolutely love Joe.
Shout out.
You know, because he knows this is a nationally syndicated radio show. It's also a television show. It's a podcast. It's widely popular. A lot of people are going to listen to this. And Joe said, you know what I'm not afraid to do? I'm not afraid to tell the world that I sleep with a stuffed animal. If you don't listen to the show every day like Joe does, first of all, I don't know why you're not. But we covered this last week. There was a study that said 40% of the people sleep with teddy bears or stuffed animals. We did some more research, and we took away the people that are under 18. And this means about something like 5.6 million adults that sleep with teddy bears. What? Jalen and I are not completely unbiased, So we assume that most of those 5.6 million were females. Yep. But here we have Joe coming out here saying, you know what? Not only do I sleep with a teddy bear, I'm not afraid to admit it. Shout to Joe. There's power in truth, Joe. Let the truth out there.
There's something to be said when you look in the mirror and you see yourself and not your manager or your agent. Jacoby talks about it a lot when he says he embraces being the capo of the minivan mafia. Mm-hmm. It's more than just a vehicle. It's knowing who you are.
Yes.
So, Joe, I appreciate that you would call, and all of your friends who listen to this program know it's you. So if you didn't want them to know, they now know. So I appreciate that. There's something to be said for people who are stand up about what they do.
Now, hold up for 1 second, though. It's still super soft to sleep with a stuffed animal as a grown man. Let me just say that. Yep. Listen, I love Joe. Yep. I love Joe calling in. I love Joe owning it. But in my opinion, this is just one man's opinion, It is super soft to sleep with a stuffed animal as a grown person. Now, listen, I have the good fortune and the dumb luck of having a life companion that I share a house with and a bed with, my wife, who was formerly my girlfriend, so I haven't been sleeping alone for 15 years. But when I'm in a hotel on the road, I'm not lying in bed being like, man, I wish I had one of those carnival teddy bears to snuggle up with right now. It's just not part of my life. Not part of my life.
And unlike Jacoby and unlike Reg, I'm rolling with you, Joe. There's certain times when I hear new information, and once I decipher that information, I'm allowed to change my thought and or opinion.
I love that. That's one thing that we will always do on this show. Sometimes we have strong opinions, but we're open to being convinced that they're wrong and change our stance. I'm into that.
No doubt. And like Joe said, if he doesn't have a companion like you, or myself for that matter, we're really fortunate. He's finding his happiness elsewhere with his bear. And I'm not here to judge.
Here's what I'd like Joe to do. Joe, go to our 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed, at Jalen Jacoby. Now I'm invested. Now I'm real curious. What's a teddy bear look like? Is it a teddy? Is it even a bear? How big is it? Let me know, Joe. Joe, we're here for you. Jalen's a little more here for you than I am, but we are here for you.
Shout out.
Let's listen to the next voicemail. Shout out to Joe.
Jalen Jacoby, this is USB Skate from Twitter. I have a very simple question. Can you explain what the phrase "for the culture" means? One more thing. If you see Jamel Hill at ESPN, don't get fired.
USB Skate tweets us a lot. I'm excited that he's now multimedia on us. You know what I mean?
Shout out.
So he has some interesting questions.
He did. First off, first things first.
You know I'm not answering the first one.
Jamel Hill is family, like a sister to me, who just so happens to also be from Detroit. So there'll be zero slander in any way, shape, or form when I'm present. Now, what does "for the culture" mean? That's a loaded question.
Yep.
It's rituals, it's language. For the culture is universal. Other terms that are rooted in for the culture used to be like hood or ghetto. For the culture is mainstream.
Yep.
That's the best way to describe it. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I feel like there was once, and I'll ask Ted Cruz later, there was once someone that said, you know porn when you see it. You know what I mean? Like, you know it when you see it. And I feel like for the culture is like that too. Like, I could try to articulate it over the next 5 minutes, but you know it's for the culture when you see it. Let's listen to another voicemail.
Jalen and Jacoby, what up, though? It's your boy Lo from the ROC 815 Stand Up. I gotta say, I'm kind of disappointed in you guys. Claiming the big city when you're from the small city and suburbs is a Charmin soft move. I'm from Rockford, Illinois, home of Cheap Trick, who is inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Home of Fred VanVleet, who was drafted and now plays for the Toronto Raptors. You gotta be proud of that. You gotta rep your hood. Never forget where you came from. Don't make the conversation easier for someone else and claim the big city when you're really from the small city. Now, my real question for you guys is, you're talking about Kevin Love being utilized more in the Cleveland offense now that Kyrie's been traded and Isaiah is hurt. And I was thinking how his career mirrors Chris Bosh in the sense they both were superstars in smaller market teams, teamed up with LeBron James, and while they took a step back offensively, still remained all-stars and won the chip. I think we can agree that Chris Bosh is going to be in the Hall of Fame, but do you think one day Kevin Love will be there also? I want to thank you guys for your feedback. Keep giving the people what they want. Keep getting those checks. Shout out to the entire staff and all the fans that listen every day like myself. Much love. Peace.
Big shout to Lowe from the ROC.
Shout out.
Big shout to Lowe. He went to a lot of different places. But let's start with his basketball question, Jalen. We were talking about Kevin Love being utilized more because, they have less weapons. Isaiah Thomas is going to be off. And Ty Lue has been saying that he's been working on ways to utilize Kevin Love more. LeBron James is working out with Kevin Love at UCLA. putting him on the gram. But he went straight to the Hall of Fame question. So, I know the Hall of Fame question isn't that big a deal to me, especially to you, because now that you're a Hall of Famer, Michigan Sports Hall of Fame, everybody stand up.
Yes, sir.
But, first of all, is Chris Bosh a shoo-in Hall of Famer in your mind?
I think his body of work does put him in position to be a Hall of Famer. It's going to be interesting to see if he actually gets in. But based on his body of work, I think he's deserving of that nod.
I don't know if he is first ballot. I don't know. Chris Bosh isn't Tracy McGrady. You know what I mean? He's not one of those players where you're like, oh, he's a Hall of Famer. He's like, let me see some numbers. Like, how many years was he in the league? Like, how's it? Wait, what do you do? How many times are you an All-Star? You have to check the stats on him. It's not just like, oh, Tracy McGrady, yeah, no doubt, or Vince Carter. Like, oh, of course. This is one where you do have to look at the back of the baseball card on Chris Bosh before you make that distinction. And then his second question is Kevin Love a Hall of Fame? No.
We're talking about Kevin Love. He's doing it for the culture because I'm going to just keep it 100. Not many white American all-star basketball players.
Not anymore. There were. We had our day. We had our day.
Right? So I'm pretty sure you feel like he's doing it for the culture, right?
That's a different culture. That's exactly what we had in mind. I really like where you're going with that, and then you went back to Kevin Love.
Okay. So with that being said, he and Gordon Hayward holding it down. I would say that based on his statistics and his ability now to possibly play up to another decade, if he continues to get the points and the rebounds remotely the way he is now, yes, those are Hall of Fame statistics.
I like it.
But let me tell you what has changed as it relates to, like, the Hall of Fame. You don't necessarily have to be the best player on your team. You don't have to be an MVP candidate consistently or even an all-NBA caliber player consistently.
You just need one of your brothers to write a strongly worded email?
That's how I got in. Now, for everybody else, I think the longevity play is now something more that gets taken into account. The body of work. Mm-hmm. Let me name a couple of guys that may end up in the Hall of Fame that people don't realize. Dwight Howard.
You say that just to bother Reggie. Yep. I know what you're doing. Yep.
Of course, Carmelo Anthony's going to get in.
He's a Hall of Famer.
How about, here's a good one for you. LaMarcus Aldridge.
Oh, no. That's it. We're ending the segment. And during the break, we're gonna get Jalen Rose tested. That's a failed test. That's a failed test, Jalen Rose, and you know it.
I'm trying to tell you.
Ladies, make sure you leave us voicemails for tomorrow. Every Wednesday we celebrate women around the world and the women in our lives. We have Woman Crush Wednesday. So, ladies, we need you to call.
Hey, ladies.
Why you just make that face, Jalen? You look like you forgot to do something for somebody.
No, I
when
just
I said
thought about
ladies
something. I
around
want
the
to
world.
Google it. And if it's true, then I don't have to how you hit the break.
Here comes Darrell Revis. Gentlemen, Jalen Rose sometimes on the show. He has an alter ego named Darrell Revis where he completely derails the show with some information that he wants to put out there into the world.
Shout out.
I can see it in his face. He's half smiling. And here's what's going to happen. He'll do some research on his phone, and then he'll deliver it into the microphone as if it's true, and then somehow get it wrong and then have to correct it later. This happens 90% of the time.
I'm about to I got to look at one more thing just to double check.
I'm so excited to see what Darrell has to say. Darrell Revis will be joining us later. Jalen Rose is with us right now. Ladies, don't forget to call 985-80-JALEN. Leave us voicemails for tomorrow. And we open up the 100 Flowers Twitter feed, and we have a question from our co-producer, Matthias. Matthias from Denmark.
Shout out.
He's always with us. His question, has Jalen ever seen a Monday night game live? Isn't it too late? Did you watch the whole thing last night? Be honest. Tell the truth. You watched the whole thing?
I watched the entire game. No, the Lions and the Giants, I watched the whole game.
I don't know. I mean, we had McGregor Mayweather, and you didn't watch the whole thing. So Lions and Giants in a game that wasn't that interesting in the second half.
Well, first off, I'm a Lions fan.
I know.
So we don't get to play on Monday night often. Mm-mm. Like, we just got invited to that party like 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. And one of those games I actually went to with David Jacoby.
Shout out.
And for those who follow this program would like to know, we're walking downtown Detroit. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to see where he and Ben Lyons are. They did They're my brothers. They show love. They always rep JRLA. They were at the golf outing. We had an amazing time. Went to the football game. I'm trying to call Jacoby and see where they are. I'm a half a block behind him.
Mm-hmm.
I see him look down at his phone, send me to voicemail, and put the phone back in his pocket.
Listen, you always tell that story, and then I tell the story that preceded that. It's like, yo, I got you guys. Let's go to the Lions game together. All right, we're good. Let's go to the Lions game. And then you hand us some tickets and bounce. That's what happened. You handed us some tickets outside, and then you bounced, and you watched in the luxury suite. You didn't invite us up there, so that's why I don't pick up your phone calls. You know what I mean? That's the way it works. That's the way it works. You can hang out with your
I had to say what up to Uncle Denzel.
Good. You should get an Uncle Denzel tattoo then. Go ahead and get that. See if he's got a tattoo of your face. Drake. How many people got Drake face tattoo? We should Google that. I know they're out there. Someone got a Drake face tattoo somewhere. John Williams has another relevant question for this program.
And I can't forget my guy Antoine Fuqua.
Shout out.
I always liked his last name. It sounded like a curse. Fuqua! No, Fuqua! What's the best way to handle your team beating your significant others? Bodacious trash talk or smug silence? P.S. I'm a Wolverine. Go Blue. That's from John Williams.
Shout out.
Well, the things that we bet on the game, what were the options again?
Bodacious trash talk or smug silence?
Based on what we bet, smug silence. Because I actually want to get my bets paid off.
Well, I just got some information from our producers who rarely give us research. Just let us out here just saying things that are incorrect, using names wrong, talking about players on different teams. But whenever we name something frivolous or stupid that doesn't even matter, that's when they get to the research. That's when they hit the Google up. Not only do a lot of people have Drake tattoos, there is someone with capital Drake across their forehead. You might get the job interview, but they're not going to even let you speak when you walk in the door.
I promise. Based on, so we got a segment we call a failed test.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that are already in the program, like Michael Beasley. We got habitual medicinal. We have to create something to give some of this stuff an age limit. Like, I truly believe a lot of these things that are happening have an age limit. I don't know what it is.
Tattoos don't have age limits, and that's one of the things
I'm talking about the individual. I'm talking about the individuals that are committing these acts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a certain age that these people are younger than. I'm just gonna throw 33 out there.
Oh, that's too high. Another thing is like, I can literally pick up my phone and see the face of somebody across the world and have a conversation with them in real time. But we can't come up with a tattoo that goes away after a year. Like, can we not come up with that? Because I would get a tattoo if it went away in a year.
No,
I'd
because
rock that
it's
real
in your
quick.
skin and it hurt to get them removed.
That's the thing is, I will never get a tattoo unless something. Whatever,
Never say never. Don't even finish that thought.
I'll get a tattoo. I'm definitely gonna have at least one corny tattoo before I'm dead. Let's be honest. Our man Goran, our co-producer Goran, is at us again.
Shout out.
Soft move or boss move? Giving your students A's at the end of a term, knowing that you're getting a new job. First of all, boss move just being a teacher. Let's recognize that. Boss move being an educator. Being an educator of people, boss move. And you know what? Also boss move giving kids A's. But you got to mix it up. You can't be like the judge at the Triple G Canelo fight. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to be overt with the cheating and the corruption, you got to give some people some B's that deserve C's, and the people that deserve, you got to just give everybody up a letter. And then you won't get called out.
Up a half a grade. So to give the B pluses A minuses, because that line of demarcation isn't too much of a distance. But you do the student a disservice when you give them a full letter grade, if not more, because now that level of achievement, when they advance in their grade, won't necessarily match their productivity.
I think that's fair. Next question we have is from Day Said. It's a soft move or boss move. As a kid, wearing your newly purchased sneakers out of the store. Soft move or boss move, wearing new sneakers out the store.
I wish I could scream this really loud, but I'm at work and I don't want to get in trouble. Boss move!
Boss move. You know what's even a bigger boss move? Is wearing some dirty, busted kicks there and just being like, you know what? You throw these away. I'm walking out with these on. I love that feeling.
First off, what you just said represented my entire life for the first 14 years. That was the only way I was getting new shoes, to be physically standing there, number one. 2, they had to be busted to get a new pair. And 3, my feet were growing at a different rate that I always had to get my foot sized. So at that point, once I got the fresh ones, you could keep those. Like,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And I always felt like I could run faster, wanted to race the entire block.
You know what technology has never been upgraded is the foot sizer. You know what I mean? Like, we all know it. When I say the thing they use to measure your feet, we all know exactly what it looks like. It's that metal thing which you put your foot on there, and they move that little thing down at the top and tell you what size you are.
But now, since we live in the era of paying attention to germs and germaphobes, that's a dirty silver machine.
That is a dirty silver machine. James Somerville wants a simple question for you. Will Jalen pay off my student loans, give the people what they want?
How much are they? Did he say?
No, he didn't say. But I'm sure if we inquire, we can get a number for you. But does that really matter? If they're $1 or $100,000, is that going to change your answer?
If he would have said how much it was, I'd have thought about it.
No,
but
you wouldn't, Jalen.
I can't.
Hold on a second. You are lying. You are lying, Jalen Rose. You're not paying off anybody's student loans, and you know that. Great question from AML2. Durag Jalen. This is for Durag Jalen. Is he available?
Yes, he is, always.
Durag Jalen, what do you do to get rid of the leftover marks on your forehead from do-rags and wave caps?
Well, I know this ain't
Jalen's pulling out a do-rag right now.
Because we're doing radio.
Yep, it's a radio show, but he's still taking out the do-rag.
Well, you got to get into character, you know?
Yeah. So
I'm a thespian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Had a hit television show, Jalen versus everybody.
Hit
you know
show.
what I mean?
Yep. All right, do-rag Jalen, how do you get rid of the marks on your forehead? AML
It's simple. You put your do-rag as close inches to your hairline as possible. So it's not in like the middle of your forehead or even the top of your forehead. It's barely at the hairline. Because just think about it like this. At that point, that little piece ain't gonna matter.
Good point. Thank you, do-rag Jalen, for joining the program. Thank you, Jalen Rose, for joining the program.
And you got to get, like Reg turned me on, you got to get some Jamaican black castor oil.
Shout out.
Is there anything else, do-rag Jalen? Because I'm about to sign off here.
I love do-rag Jalen. I love a Crush hoodie mellow in 101. Yeah, I guess that is a lie.
Thank you so much for listening to Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
Thank you.
We'll be back tomorrow.
You're far too kind.